Next, I would like to introduce Shane Cooke, Transformation Mind Body Coach. I've not known Shane for very long, but I was drawn to his very visible passion for wanting to help others. As Jeff mentioned, everyone has a story, and listening to Shane's story, I knew this was someone I really wanted to engage with and share. I know there are a lot of people listening today who are already involved in the halotherapy industry, and I'm going to take a guess that many people that you treat and see at your salt rooms not only have breathing and respiratory issues, but also suffer with anxiety and stress. I've learned a lot from listening to Shane, both the importance of breath and some of the science behind it. So Shane, shall we start with just a brief description, or let us know how you got into this?
So for me, breath work came along at the same time as meditation, really, because for me, I was going through a time of struggling myself with anxiety. I actually was a chef for 22 years, very stressful job. And the truth is, I was looking for things that could help me that I didn't believe existed, tools that can be used any place, anytime, where I didn't have to travel anywhere to get them. And that's where I found breath work. And it's just impacted my life so greatly that I had to teach it. and that's why I've ended up in this position doing so now.
That's brilliant. I mean, that's quite a turnaround in your career, really. I know you've got a presentation here for us today, so I'm just going to hand over to you and take the floor.
Yeah, I've got a few slides today to really kind of just break down exactly what it is, what it's about that I do, Jasper Breath. So let's get into it. So what is yoga breathing? So first of all, yoga breathing, it's ancient breathing practices, and what I call Jasper breath, what I do, it's these ancient practices that are now informed by modern science. Okay, they're what I call 24-hour tools. So they're at your disposal 24 hours a day. That's the beauty of them. They're safe, practical, and really effective, and deliver immediate results. And when we're working with the breath in this way, we're working directly with the autonomic nervous system. Okay, so the beauty, this is what I'm so passionate about, we can literally make shifts in our energy, our mood, even the function of our digestive system within a matter of seconds. So like I said, yeah, it's taking these ancient practices and tweaking them just slightly in a way that is more effective for our mind and body. So the question is, why do we actually need to breathe differently? And the reason is because we don't actually breathe how the body was designed to breathe. Okay, the body was designed actually beautifully. And as we kind of go through childhood, get older and deal with the stresses and anxieties of life, what happens is our breath becomes short and shallow. So we actually consistently breathe like we're in danger, when we're in fight or flight. If you think of a baby, when a baby is the first few years of life, when they breathe, the belly extends, the chest kind of inflates, the shoulders gently move. We don't do that anymore, really, because it's very short and shallow. So that's where a lot of problems come from in people's lives. So improper breathing, it causes accelerated aging, fatigue, stress, anxiety, high blood pressure, poor sleep. If we carry on in this state consistently, then it can even lead to disease and other problems. Okay, so it's important that we can really understand how important the way we breathe is. So what are the benefits of consistent yoga breathing and actually cultivating the process of yoga breathing? So we're looking at relieving stress, boosting digestion, improving that sleep, being able to balance our mood and energy, increase mental focus, enhance nervous system function, which is generally what this is all about. Enhance our overall health and vitality. Then that brings back our love and creativity, our feeling of generosity and sharing and all that type of stuff. And then when we can re-strengthen and rebalance the nervous system, what it helps to do is fight illness or even prevent illness. So I just want to explain a few points. So generally in this day and age, this crazy world, we generally walk around in a sympathetic state, in a fight or flight state, and our breath has evolved into this short and shallow breath. And let me just, if you think of, let me just put this scenario in your mind. If you're crossing the road and a bus is coming towards you, you don't realize it honks. The first thing you do is you go into fight or flight and you cover your heart and you breathe quickly and short in the mouth, right? That's what generally people are breathing like naturally, these short, shallow breaths. So that's what it's like, and that's why many people are struggling. So that excessive fight or flight causes stress, high cortisol. When we think negatively, we worry, we ruminate, and we get stuck in that pattern. When we're in a fight or flight or a sympathetic state, it completely cuts off our digestion. So this is where a lot of digestive problems come from. Many of us actually naturally have breathed through our mouths. Again, going back to that little story I said about the bus and the shock, it's the same. We generally in danger, we breathe in our mouth and out our mouth, but many people are actually breathing in and out the mouth naturally, and this actually tells the body we're in danger. And that excessive fight or flight causes high blood pressure, leading to other illnesses. When we have an unbalanced nervous system, it makes us wired and tired, which causes poor sleep as well. So a really important part of what I do when it comes to breath work is concentrate on analytics, real results. And that's really important when you do any breathwork program, I feel. So it's about real results rather than kind of just personal experience or personal reviews, right? We want measurements. So we focus on the autonomic nervous system, that fight or flight, rest and digest. We focus on the endocrine system, your hormones, especially stress hormone, cortisol. The big factor, which is really important, is we focus on rate and ratio. That's what it's all about, the rate and ratio of our breath, and that's a big factor. So rather than focus on brand names, funky Sanskrit names, lineage, gurus, and traditions, we're actually focusing on the nuts and bolts. How fast is your breathing? What is the inhale versus the exhale? And very importantly, what time of day? What point in the day are you using these techniques? So it's focused on research-based goals. So you can always have a realistic vision of what can happen when you go through a yoga breathing practice. So it's so important. So muscles of breathing. Okay, any time we go into breathwork practice, this is one of the first things that we should really understand and focus on. So the muscles of breathing, number one, the most important is diaphragmic. Okay, so that will always be used pretty much in every technique. And what I mean by that is when we breathe in, the belly extends out. Many of us actually breathe in and bring our belly in. Again, it's completely backwards. So when we breathe in, we're activating the diaphragm, belly extends. Step two is when we're taking a good wholesome breath, the intercostal muscles between the ribs, they will engage, they will open up. And then finally, our accessory muscles in the neck, shoulders and back will raise up slightly. and generally will activate all them phases when we do have a nice wholesome breath into the body. And that's what we call the 3 phases of yogic breath. So I just want to, because we're working directly with the nervous system when we do yoga breathing, I want to just kind of go through that quickly to to break it down. So the autonomic nervous system, it's automatic, like the name suggests, so it just works. You don't have to think about it. The autonomic nervous system, it controls heart rate, digestion, respiratory rate, pupillary response as well, urination, sexual arousal, they're all automatic. Okay, there's a lot to think about when it comes to our nervous system health, but the way we breathe has so much to do with the functioning of our body. It's not just about let's do breath work and relax when we're stressed. It affects our whole being, our whole body. Okay, many people don't actually realize that the way we breathe not only impacts our stress levels, but everything that I just spoke about. So the 2 branches are sympathetic, fight or flight, parasympathetic, which is rest and digest. And it is a very complex and sophisticated thing, the nervous system, and it allows us to do so much in life. It takes in so much information, what's going on around us, inside us. It knows things are going to happen before we even know. And it's really important to make sure that it's healthy and balanced. And again, we can do this through breath. So I want to go through the both sides of this nervous system quickly, because when we do Jasper breathing, each technique relates to either the parasympathetic, the sympathetic, or the balancing of both. So I always like to show images. It's a good way to plant what we're talking about in the mind. So on the screen, as you can see, there's the monk, eyes closed, in the moment, breathing into the belly. So that's your visual for parasympathetic, rest and digest. So let's think about what happens here when we're in parasympathetic. Okay, blood goes to the stomach and the GI tract. One of the big things with yoga breathing, helps with our digestion, and being in a parasympathetic state helps this by allowing blood flow to go to stomach and GI tract, which allows food to flow, nutrients to dispatch, good serotonin production, and stomach health relates to mental health. We get stimulation of the peristalsis, which means the wave motion throughout the GI tract, so the bowel movement. It relates to urination and salivation. Okay, there's a decrease in heart rate, pupil normalization for short rate vision because we're not under threat, and it ultimately becomes close in so we can concentrate, study, read a book, relax. And also relates to sexual arousal. It's particularly important because there's many people with sexual dysfunction all over the world, but we generally look in other directions to work with that. We need to be in this parasympathetic mode to actually have any arousal. And in this crazy stressed out world that we're in, it's no wonder people do struggle, okay, with that. So I'll continue that conversation in a minute, but it's just particularly important to understand. Okay, so with the parasympathetic branch, there's a whole load of things happening. This is just a few I've picked out for now. So it's all about that monk. Okay, so now we have the sympathetic. The sympathetic is what we usually see as the enemy. We don't want it, but couldn't be further from the truth. We need it. So as you can see, fight scene on the screen. So we've got 2 visuals now, the monk and the fight scene. We're actually flipping from one to another all day long. Okay, the truth is we are usually somewhere in the middle of both of these visuals, okay, because chances are most of us aren't in an extreme monk state, and most of us don't find ourselves in a situation where someone's going to do a flying kick towards us. Okay, So think about this for a second. Scenario happens, we go into fight or flight, blood rushes to the lungs and muscles this time. Adrenaline flies up, heart rate goes up, pupils dilate for long range danger vision. This happens in loads of different situations. It can be physical or just by the way we think can put us into fight or flight. And that all kind of sounds dramatic, right? But it's not, it's healthy. We need a responsive nervous system. We need fight or flight to perform well, to get things done. Okay. And then we've got digestion. So I don't know if anyone ever gets bloated or tummy aches, you know, when we've been at work and we continue eating at the computer. And then we get kind of feel drained and bloated, and then, or when we eat lunch and then go into a high pressure environment like a meeting, and then you feel tummy ache and anxiety. It's generally because you were probably in a fight or flight state and then trying to eat. It cuts off digestion because the blood leaves the GI tract and goes to the heart and muscles. So we're ready for action. It's pumping the muscles up, which is good if we want to run, but it's not good if we are eating. So adrenaline goes up, healthy in small amounts, powers us up, natural buzz. And then this is where that sexual orgasm comes in, the other side of it. So remember, to get aroused in the first place, we need to be in a parasympathetic state. And then for sexual orgasm, we need to be able to flip naturally the body into that sympathetic state. So it's relaxation to stimulation. This is where the problem is with many of us. We live in a sympathetic zone. It feels normal because we're in autopilot. We're very busy. Minds are full of constant thinking. We don't realize till the damage is done, the damage of living in a sympathetic zone. So it's all about that balance. Okay, we need parasympathetic. We need sympathetic. It's all about being agile, having a switchable nervous system. Okay, a healthy, agile nervous system jumps into fight or flight when we need it, and then back into a rest and digest when we're done pretty quickly. So it's interchangeable. Okay. So I just want to run through the breathwork technique so you understand it. So with Jasper breath, we think of our breathing as there's 3 categories. So there's water breathing. This is about balance. It's always a good choice, day, night, and it can be used anywhere freely without worry. Then we've got an earth category. It's down regulating, relieves stress, grounding, and it helps to put you to sleep. And then there's the fire category, up regulating. It wakes you up, prepares your body for activity and exercise. And all these come down to rate and ratio. Okay. So what would a daily regime be? Morning, you would look at fire breathing. Then midday would be water, or as and when needed. And before bed would be earth breathing. So it looks like this. So let's define fire breathing. So it's 30 breaths per minute or higher. So it's that sort of pace. Okay. Stimulates the sympathetic nervous system. So we're activating our stress response, using it correctly to help strengthen and quicken the danger response. Okay. Reduces CO2, so carbon dioxide, because we're off-gassing it quicker than we create it. Raises blood pH. This is really powerful. So CO2 creates carbonic acid. Okay, so when there's no CO2, which is like with fire breathing, the blood goes slightly more alkaline. Okay, because there's less acid, so it's going more alkaline. It's about, when it's blood, it's down to dilution. So this is really powerful to know. Does it make a big difference in the body? It's not going to cure cancer or anything like that, but it's interesting and powerful. Okay, we get vaso and bronchoconstriction, which means passageways are closing up, getting constricted. If we do it long enough, we get tingling in the fingers, the body. If we do it long enough, we're going to pass out because we cut off blood and oxygen supply to the brain, lack of CO2. So it's about what we do. It's about doing what we need and being safe and effective with it. We use fire category to get energized, excited, clear-headed, and ready to go. So we only use it on the morning. Okay, fast breathing is for morning only. We should do it before exercise, before yoga, or if we just want to boost our energy on the morning and get into that kind of that responsive mode, like let's go, let's get everything done. Then we've got water breathing. This is the most important and certainly the least taught practice. Okay, so generally when we ever go into learn meditation, sound healing and all that sort of stuff, they emphasize sleep and complete relaxation. And to be honest, I get it because we're in a crazy world, but what we really need in the West is we need that balance of both, and this is what water breathing helps with. Okay, the water category works well because if I said what's the #1 beverage in the world, the most nourishing, the most important, you'd say water. So that's why this category is called that. So it's really simple, a 1-to-1 ratio. So it'd be 4 in and 4 out is the most simple. 50% of the natural rate of breathing, but twice the volume. This one is 4 to 6 breaths per minute. Okay. Nose only breathing, it's diaphragmic, it tones your nervous system and it balances the sympathetic and parasympathetic response. It's an adaptogenic. If you feel down, it will bring you up. If you're up, it will bring you down. It works with your body. So finally, we've got earth breathing. Now, earth breathing is usually a 1-to-2 ratio. So it would be the most simple 4 in and 8 out, or 4 in, hold for 4, exhale for 4. Okay, it's extremely powerful. And generally people get way too excited about the extreme breathing, the extreme stuff, and doing it at the wrong times of day. And we don't get excited enough about balance, right? Balance is great. You know, maybe we can do a 20-second inhale and a 20-second exhale. That's really fun. But in this world, we go for the extreme stuff that makes us feel, you know, buzzing or lightheaded. So it's really important, okay, to also get excited about the slow stuff. So earth category is really good for people with nose breathing problems, deviated septum, allergies, asthma, because it's a heavy vaso and bronchodilator, so it's opening everything up. It is 3 breaths or less per minute. Sounds crazy, right? Because it's so low, but yeah, really effective. You can do it seated or supine. Generally nose only, but because it's a longer out breath, sometimes people start in nose, out of mouth. I do say nose is for breathing, mouth is for eating, but sometimes we do need to use our mouth. And this is a trigger for a strong parasympathetic response, reduces heart rate, aids digestion. So a little review of the 3 categories is fire, 30 plus breaths per minute. It's sympathetic response. Water, 4 to 6 breaths. It's about balance, adaptogenic. And earth, 3 breaths per minute. And that's a pure parasympathetic response. So what does an unhealthy nervous system look like? Runs like a train, slow to react and slow to recover. You will generally have poor sleep, poor digestion, perhaps moody, snappy, drained and stressed. Healthy nervous system, agile like a cat. I always say cat because if you've got a cat and you kind of scare it, it'll go instantly, it'll kind of react really quickly. And then it'll just trot off like nothing ever happened, right? That's the agility we're looking for. So quick to respond, quick to recover, good sleep, good digestion, balanced energy, and balanced mood. So the nervous system in review, it's the core of everything, all functionality. Okay, we need fight or flight. It's not the enemy. We need rest and digest. Stuck in one or the other is not going to serve us. Too much fight or flight, it's going to damage the body, the mind. Too much rest and digest, it's not functional. It'll take away our quick, agile response to danger, unless you're a monk, and we don't need to get anything done, but we generally do in this Western world. Okay, so everyone wants to be like the monk, but the truth is we can't be. We need the fight or flight. We need the rest and digest for balance. So again, it's about being agile like a cat, being able to flip from one side to the other quickly and efficiently, to keep us out of danger, to help us deal with danger, to help us accomplish everyday tasks, allow us to relax, ease mind and body, aid towards gut health, and help us sleep and rise in effective ways. And how can we do this? We can do this by using our breath in the most effective ways and knowing exactly what the breath does between rate and ratio. And that all comes down to yoga breathing and Jasper breath. And that is everything.
Brilliant. I just find it so fascinating. I mean, most of us just take breathing for granted, really. I know when we first met and we talked through some of these, I have actually started using fire breathing in the morning when I first wake up, even when my eyes are just shut. I think, oh, I don't want to get out of bed. Then I do the breathing and then I feel like I'm kind of ready to go. And then again, and then again at nighttime, I've been using the earth breathing, or the yoga one that you taught me, and it really does just make me relaxed. It kind of clears my head and puts me in a state where I'm ready to go to sleep. So it's incredible what power the breath has, and the fact that we all just take it so for granted.
Exactly, it's important as well, because breath work is very powerful, but it's also, if we don't use it in the right way, it can actually have the adverse effect. And I've been through, many of us learn from that spiritual aspect. Okay, so for instance, the fire breathing or bellows breathing, from a spiritual aspect, it's that you take 108 breaths without having a break, and people are going into that with unbalanced nervous systems, and it actually causes anxiety. I used to do fire breathing on an evening because it used to make me feel good, and I wanted to feel good on an evening, then I couldn't sleep. So this is important. That's why I kind of said, this to when we do Jasper breath and these programs that I do, it's not about gurus, lineage, and the old Yoga Sutra books. They're 500 years old. Everything comes from there, but we've adapted for our modern science.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really useful to understand the science behind some of this. So that's been absolutely brilliant today, Shane. We have Shane over in a session after this. So if you wanted to go over and continue a conversation or ask any questions, pop over to the sessions. And we're also going to hopefully have Shane dropping in for an 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, possibly doing a bit of fire, water and earth breathing throughout the day. So don't miss those.